Good evening, everyone. How are y'all doing tonight? Let me turn this down some more. Camera's blurry. Driving me crazy. See if I can fix this. So yeah, hope y'all are having a good night tonight. Sorry I'm starting a little later than usual. Interesting, it doesn't let me modify it if it's... Oh, there we go. Yeah, I was busy doing some financial stuff, so starting a little later than normal, but we'll get into it here in a minute. Focus auto. Change this and go whoop. I think that's better. We'll run with it. I might have to fix it again when I go to the other scene. But yeah. So I'm also trying to get this other computer up and running. A whole Mac Mini that I have. Been battling it for several days here. But yeah, it's mainly, so it's been running. The problem has been trying to get the software KVM to work, which is basically unlock. It's what lets me use my gaming PC mouse and keyboard on this computer without having to have like all these other mouse and keyboards. Like I have a mouse and keyboard right here. It's not ideal to work with. So trying to get it set up. I have this thing called Synergy. Not sure if y'all have heard of it, but it's should allow me to do it. I've been using, I think I've mentioned this before in a previous stream. I've been using Microsoft's like built-in version. Oh man, I gotta get my serial key. It's too much work. I might have to just wait on this. Finally got it installed. But anyways, it let me share the keyboard. Right now I'm using two Windows PCs. My stream PC is Windows, so is my gaming PC, obviously. But Microsoft has a built-in like mouse. It's called Mouse with Borders. Lets you share relatively easily. I had to pay for one that goes to Mac, and then I tried to install it on my Mac Mini, and it's like no mounted file systems found. And I'm like, what? Why the hell are you talking about? And I was pretty sure it was a version problem. And so I was trying to do updates and couldn't figure it out. And finally had to just hard reset basically back to old 10.7 version of Mac. Manually update to El Capitan. And then I was able to update to something newer. I think it's High Sierra. And apparently the no mounts found or whatever, no mount file systems found, no mountable file systems, is a incompatibility between versions. I guess in old versions of pre 10.12 they had a different file system, and as of 10.12 and above they have a new like Apple basically AFS, which is Apple file system, and the DMG files can be built in such a way that they're only compatible with that new file system. So, which is what Synergy has done, which made it a nightmare for me to get it to work. So, finally got it to work, and we're golden. But now I just need to set it up. I think you have to have the server installed on my Synergy server on this PC, and then I have a to get the client set up on the other side. So we'll get it set up here probably after stream. And it's mainly just a convenience PC for me to have some extra windows over here. I have 2 monitors hooked up to it to allow me to manage some things on the side. Yeah. So let's see what we got here. So there's a couple things I wanted to do tonight. One was try to do animations, and maybe not in this order. And then 2, do some of the tile placement stuff. So last time we got this little tile map situation going on, which is cool. That being said, though, we don't have anything on it. It's blank. So we are gonna try to change that. So I'm gonna try. I want to just be able to click on this and. That didn't work. All right, so yeah, you have to go to Window 2D Tile Palette. So I'll create a new palette. Create this one as, let's just do base ground, whatever that means. And we're gonna call this, we'll do environment, that's fine. And then what we can do is go to sprites, is that where? No, we put it over here. And it's this one. So let's see. So I think these are all like what I was referring to as base ground. So can I like shift click these and just like environment? Sure. All right. So boom. Oh, that didn't work. Boom. This little thing's in my way. There. It's so unfortunate. Why? So something you'll notice. So you'll see there's like little black lines between. I think. I think it's the bottom. Let's take a look at this tile set. It's a TSX file. All up. See, he's used them. So, all right. Not animation. I don't even know what that means. In this context, at least. I should use these. But these are... These seem to be on top, right? Like upper level. Let's see. Interesting. Let's try something else. So some other tiles, so like type 1, for example. Let's just take like these and pull them into here, and then let's just use this as an example. Say multiple. We'll call this 32. Extrude edges. We can do sprite editor. Yes, apply. Alright, let's try that. So that's this. Oh crap, I forgot which one. Alright, put them here. They seem better? Right, there's like 5. Okay, so let's do this. Golly, can I do a paint a filled box with... Oh, well, I guess that satisfied what I was trying to do. I was trying to erase, but I guess I didn't need to when I can just paint it. Try to get to 1x. So I think, yeah. Seems right. Seems right. So there you have it. There's grass. And we can do random other stuff. Like maybe I want to make a... I think this base chip thing is just too... There's just too much here. See how there's like black around all of them? Kind of like a faded... Like these seem fine. Kind of. But the... I don't know, maybe I can make some of these work if I can get the alphas right. Up. I don't know. Up here it doesn't look like there's anything there, right? It's like that light green. Let's take a look at that light green. I think it's just getting... It's just playing tricks on me there, but that doesn't look like there's any kind of bleed over. But, you know, whatever. there's just so pixelated that it's more noticeable in here. It's hard to tell. These ones up here seem very higher quality, right? Look at this. Look at that high fidelity. 32 pixel by 32 pixel. Man. This is a wall? Just looks like black to me. I guess that's a wall, huh? Yeah, my only problem is I don't see any anything specifically for all the other cool stuff that came with this, but maybe it's less relevant until we get later on. But all right, so we at least have like a base ground, and I guess some it's like, is this dirt have alpha behind it? Yeah, so let's try to do this. This would be pretty cool. So we have grass. This, here's some like flowers, for example. Right? So I can do multiples, set it to 32 pixels per thingy thing, and apply. Wait, what? It won't let me slice it. Wonder why. Oh, that's not what I want. Ah. Because that's interesting. You can't play the game while you're doing it. I guess that makes sense. And change the grid by cell size. Make it 3232. Slice it and apply. And then theoretically, I would be able to drag some flowers onto this thing, right? It's the idea. That's not what I want. It's this 2D tile palette situation that I'm just not feeling. We'll create a new palette for this, like, which is what is it? Let's just do ground level 1. I don't know. Just making this up. Make it here, and then we will take these flowers and just go boop. Go boop. And then should be able to just like paint some stuff here, right? Like do this. Ooh, interesting. I wonder if it's the Z? Ah, that's what it is. Just make sure you have the tile map. That's weird. I don't know what the grid is. So you have multiple tile maps. Let's change this off. Not sure why you would have different tile maps, but you know. I have no idea what I'm doing here, so bear with me. Just boop, boop, and boom. Oh, not that one. Ooh, how do you... What happens if you delete? Okay. I was curious, like, how do you delete multiple layers, right? So deleting doesn't work on that. What the hell? I don't. It's weird. Okay, there we go. I was like, they don't let you get rid of. It's crazy. Huh. I have no idea how do you get rid of the base one. Like, what? Okay. So yeah, flowers. Easy. Simple enough. What's the example that he had? He had some like wicked example. Sample map. You got flowers in yours, bro. Oh, yeah, it does. Oh well, shoot. Can't zoom in. Oh, there we go. It looks really good. Okay. Yeah, so the way he does that is doing the Z channel stuff. Like layering, so you can put basically put the base layer down, which is all this like water and edges and grass and stuff. Then he puts the flowers down. And then he puts the trees down. And then it makes it look the trees, because these are full squares, I think, of the particular stuff that he has here, the flowers. Which is fine. It's pretty cool. Alright, we'll get there. But yeah, so really he has something like this. Why is the grid and even a selection? Interesting. So now it's deleting the. I'm so confused. Really curious how it determines which one you delete. Like now it's deleting the grass. I thought maybe it had to do with this, like maybe if you select one. No. It's a mystery. Let's see, tile map, delete, Editing, editing, editing. That's not even the same. Wait, what is that? Oh, okay. I thought that was Unity for a second, but this is a different tile layer, just like from some map editor. Hmm. Dang it, I keep getting... That's what I get for not doing Unity. Tile map, delete different layer. Huh. Hold shift to temporary switch to that. Okay, okay. Okay, dokie. Okay, so it seems this may be the route. Okay, so I have multiple tile maps, and I think that's not a good idea. Or it is, but I need to be more specific. So this tile map is like base tile map. And so that's the one I should paint. I think that's the one that I should paint the grass on. So I need to like redo this. So base tile map. I just like erase the whole daggum thing. Said hold shift? Yeah, it does work. Oh shit. They don't even line up with the... Those are phantom ones. Where the hell did they... Oh, what? Yeah. Wait, what? Let's try something here. Kind of black magic. Oh my god. It's still there, it's just hidden. What kind of nightmare? Alright. I think this is why you have different layers. So so this one's half. Man, you need more. I can understand why people need more monitors for this, because this tile palette thing is clutch. I need it like in its own tab, right? All right, I'm gonna rename this one. What do they call that? They call the stuffs on like under. brush or something. Ground level 1. And this one, we need to make that 4. Why is this one so... Oh. Oh, that's why. It's 1. Like, why are these different sizes? I have no idea how to get rid of that. Maybe I do. What the hell? Some black magic going on right now. When all else fails, delete it. All right, I'm hoping this solves the problem of confusion here, but honestly, wait, so why does... So I don't... Okay. This thing needs to be refreshed. Focus on none. Tile map doesn't even exist, and grid doesn't exist. So I refresh this. Nope. Okay, well, it's gonna deal with that for right now, I think. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that there, having a grid. Boom. Alright, so maybe I need to save it. I want to test something real quick. If it's some kind of weird... Not sure I'm buying. I'm feeling this whole... Wait, what? Okay, well. We're just gonna work with that, I guess. It's a sorting layer. New layer. Ground. It's different between a layer and a sorting layer. Which I knew. We're gonna go with that. See what it does. So ground level 0 should be sorting level ground. And then boom, this one should be a sorting level, ground level 1. Alright, so my idea here is that I could do base ground, and I just boom. Wait, what? Still only painting one. Hey, I just don't know about this plugin and its viability. It sure seems not very well tested. Okay, so we got ground level 1. Boom. Ground level 0. Now we go to ground level 1. And let's just say we do a little patch up here. Whatever. Now, if we play that, seems legit. Works. A little trial and error going on here. Go back to the tile palette. So theoretically, so we'll delete, yeah. Okay. I go back to this one. Okay. So it all makes sense right now. Separate tile maps. Basically just put one thing on there. Otherwise, weird stuff happens. Where you go back to try to delete something. Maybe it deletes it, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe there's something I'm just not doing. It's all good. Alright, so we have basic ground situation going on. And it's relatively straightforward. I'm trying to figure out, is that like out of? Let's see, does that? Okay, yeah. Okadoke. Okay, now let's try to do an animated guy. I think there's like animation stuff, animation frame rate. Can you do tile-based animation? That's fancy. Random and animated tile map tiles tutorial. Wait, what? Yeah. Man, why does their links are always never working for me? Everybody just says, download this thing and you can create an animated tile. Yeah. Yes, I could. Scriptable tiles. Tile animation. Ooh, other useful classes. What is this? Not useful. Scriptable tile example. Hmm? It's like generating tiles, I guess. It's pretty cool. Dude, the same guy, man. Just killing it. Old Kenny. Oh, this guy's got solid RPG pack. What's he got? Basically the same stuff. Slower res though. It's like 16 by 16 instead of 32 by 32. One bit. These all. It doesn't mention whether these are 16 by 16 or not. One bit pack. I really want to know what this is. Monochrome pack. Holy crap. Alright. Okay. Yeah. So they apparently have a 2D extras thing that has. This is by Unity. Really? Yeah, 2D extras. Tint brush, groups, animated tiles, pipeline tiles. Sweet. So there's. Ugh. That packages manifest.json file? Are you kidding me? What kind of gangster stuff is this? Can I not just they got a package manager, and I have to. 2D animation. What is this? Install. Seems important. Wow, that's way bigger than I thought it was gonna be. What could possibly be that ridiculous? Skinning module is apparently huge. Can't even look while it's doing this. Okay, there we go. Pixel perfect. I don't. Oh man, there's an Android Logcat thing. Oh man, after all that Falcon Star stuff, I didn't even find that. That's very disturbing. Oh well. I don't think it's. I originally went in there to be able to find this packages JSON file they're talking about. Maybe it's only in the file system. That's why it's not showing up. Let's take a look. C. The Unity projects 2D packages. Sure is. I should have known. Alright. So I just need to put this somewhere in here. Save. Is that it? That's all I needed. Did something. Error fetching. Blah 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 blah. Not valid JSON? Oh, what'd I do? Forgot the comma. Can't forget the comma. It's important. Very important. Why is it importing a video module? Animation 3.1.1. What? What are you talking about? Seems correct. No get executable. Oh, jeez. You sure about that? Because it doesn't really make too much of a difference. Git install Windows. Downloads. Git for Windows. Feels so wrong. Sure. So many questions. Just install it. Come on now. Gitforwindows.com. I thought MOBA Xterm had that junk installed already. Yeah, it is, but it's probably... Yeah, it's installed as part of MOBA. It's unfortunate. Okay. Let's try it again. doing something. Tell me what you're doing, computer. Ah, I have to end the restart. Unity. Guess I need to completely read. What the? What you talking about? What you talking about there, crazy? And Unity Hub? Maybe that's what I gotta quit Unity Hub too, maybe? Maybe. Seems obnoxious. Hey, it's doing something. Tile map extras, runtime tiles, isomet, all this for an animated tile. And the sad part is I don't think it's gonna actually satisfy creating an animated tile. Because I'm probably gonna have to do more, because I have a feeling what this is actually gonna do is tile palette. Let's do create new palette. Players. Create one of those. 2D. Main. Tile maps. Create a new folder that is characters. Characters. Boom. Put it there, and then go into the project sprites, characters, mail. Oh. Let me see. I gotta do this thing first. So multiple 32. Do the sprite editor, apply. Okay. Bloody boy there. Advanced. That's no good. Okay, so I have a little character guy. Let's make sure I drag all of these. Oh, interesting. It made a separate folder for him. Hmm. So they basically say how to create animated tiles. Oh. New set of options at the top of the right-click menu for creating new tiles. What you talking about? Oh no. Oh no. Let's create another tile map here. 2D tile map. Hey, hey. Supra, how you doing? Hope you're having a good night. I am currently, if you're legit asking what I'm doing, I am currently trying to figure out how to do an animated sprite in a tile map specifically, which is actually more difficult than I thought it would be. I feel like if I did it in code, it'd be easier. But that only works so well. Let's do players. Player. That'll work. I'm trying to figure out where they yeah, I think in code it would be just like I would have these, like this example for like for example these are not well organized. Let me move them. Okay, and then we do. Yeah, so I thought what would happen. Let me organize these so that you can actually understand what the hell this animation is supposed to look like. That's what I would expect, right? That you would, which may be the route I take, but it's like you just start on this, like make this the 0th tile or image, and then just over time you would just like switch to this one and switch to this one, switch back, and you would just do a cycle like that. So like for example, we'd actually go like this. So I move these all over. So the idle state for all of these is actually on this leftmost, and then you would just cycle across. But supposedly there's a way you can create animated tiles. So the tricky part is like I would, you know, that's not showing. Maybe I need to. player one needs to be. Basically, yeah, so it's the way I've always done it in the past is you would just have 3 pictures that you would just cycle through. So like for example, if you're standing still, you're just showing the idle one. So this singular tile. But then when somebody, let's say, in this case, for this particular top one, they press the down key. So you want to start moving the character down. You would want to play this top animation, and because that's him walking downwards, while the one below, like this one's walking left, this one's walking right, and this one's walking up. So if they hit down, you would essentially start moving the character, and then after a certain amount of time you switch to this picture, and then after a certain amount of time you switch to this picture, and in combination it makes it, and then you keep cycling over, like here. Basically you just do this very quickly, like maybe 100-200 milliseconds between each frame or something. That you have to kind of tweak to make it look normal based on how fast you're moving the character as well as how fast you're switching the pictures. And so that's how I generally see it done. This with the tiles, it's almost like there's too much smoke and mirrors, because of the fact that you just kind of drag and drop stuff, and supposedly there's a way to animate, but I've yet to see. They've talked about having in this example here, where'd it go? So this animated tile map here. Then you can, so this animated tile they're referring to is the one that I'm talking about. Yep, exactly. Yeah, and then you just cycle it like faster potentially, if you have different speeds of running or something like that. So that's how I've seen it done. It seems easier to do it that way than what they're telling me to do here. But my concern is the tiles, because everything's scaled with the tiles. I could just put it on top, but at the same time I need to have it be at least somewhat integrated with the tile system to be able to make sure that when he moves to the center of another tile. So that's why I'm trying to follow these directions. We'll see if I okay, here we go. I found it. There's a picture. Pictures are amazing. We'll see if they actually work. So create tiles. According to that, it should have been under tiles, right? Sprites? Oh, 2D extras, tiles. Animated tile. Number of animated sprites. 3. Okay. So here we go. So this is kind of what I was talking about, right? So they have, so let's just do sprite 1 is him, sprite 2 is that one. Oh wait, nope, that's wrong. That's actually that one. Then it's that one. And then it's that one. Max speed, minimum speed, I am not entirely certain what those mean. It's like, yeah, I mean, I know what it means. I just don't know exactly what that would do. Okay, so this is an animated tile, so I should be able to drop this. Do. so this one is male down. We'll go with that. Alright, so that one is there. Okay, we're on the player. Players. I select this one. Position. Doesn't seem to be drawing him though. Kind of curious why. I'm almost over this tile map situation, I'm not gonna lie. I could code this to work way easier than it's currently working. This seems... jumping through so many hoops that seems a little... Okay, so he's back. So that's irritating, right? Like the fact that I had to hit play and then I came back and it started working. Like what? Yeah, so he's working now. You can actually see him. I think y'all can see him, right? Yeah, so see how slow he's doing it? I think it's because the min and max speed is 1 second. So it looks like it changes frames every 1 second. So I think I can change that mid. It's all good, man. I think we got to figure it out. So like instead of 1 second, maybe do like every 0.2 milliseconds or 0.2 seconds, which would be every 200 milliseconds. And save that. He may be moving super fast, like a... Okay, that didn't change anything. What may be happening is this tile palette gets a snapshot. It's actually slower? Interesting. Oh god, this is even worse. Oh, now I have no idea how they determine this. Alright, y'all, I think I'm gonna... We may backpedal on this shit, and, Java 101, that's what's up. It's good stuff. Java I think wasn't my first language, but it was one of my first object-oriented programming languages. So it was the one that showed me the light of programming. Prior to that, I was a computer engineer, and yeah, computer engineering is a different level of programming. It's rough. Lots of math. Okay. Decisions. Should I cut my losses on this? Dude, I don't think it matters what you do. You have to work with databases. So, like, that's what I found out being a app developer, like as my full-time job, is, or product developer, whatever you want to refer to it as, basically develop on a product that's, you know, sold, is you almost always have to interact with a database to store information. So you have to at least know enough to be able to work with it, but you also need to know enough that you don't absolutely destroy the database. Both like legitimately, like accidentally deleting stuff, but more so like queries that perform terribly, especially if you have a data set that's huge. Like, I feel like a third of my time doing app development is optimizing queries and making sure that the database tables scale. Well, that the queries that I run on tables scale. So, are you like a DB admin? I think I'm gonna cut my losses here, y'all. And I'm gonna manually paint these freaking tiles myself. Because this is a nightmare. Trying to figure out what this okay. Yeah. Minimum amount of data redundancy is true. Which is basically DB normalization, right? But the problem with normalization is the queries can be a little bit of a nightmare if you try to get more higher like if you want higher level things, information. It's harder to do so when you have a normalized database. So, but they scale, right? Like normalized DBs scale way better than non-normalized DBs because everything's separated. So, generally speaking, the queries run faster. You have, you know, usually int IDs that link from table to table. So, you can do relatively quick lookups based on fields that are in different tables. But if you want to join, if you want multiple pieces of information that are in different tables and try to, you want them to all pull together, and you just have to structure your queries a little bit better. But data from point A to point B, isn't it like ETL type stuff? Yeah, indexing is true. But the problem with another issue with indexing is like they cost space, right? So like if you need to index on a lot of things, like several fields, for example, then that key is going to be relatively large, and then, you know, your index is like 25% the size of the data in the database table. So, you know, it's always a balance, I think. Yep. Yeah. Or set of columns, right? You can also do the like cluster indexing, where you know, if you always query on these particular fields, then you can get an even faster query. But those generally take up more space as well. It's definitely something so like I work on inventory stuff, and so our data set is always growing, right? Because it's basically like as you adjust inventory, you want to have the history of all the inventory that you've adjusted, and be able to constantly see that history if you need it. And so like our tables are just constantly growing, and you have to make sure you have the right indexes. So DevOps support. Okay. That's always fun. Getting a new role and then having to support your previous role. That can be frustrating, I imagine. All right, we're taking a different path on this, by the way. I am going to... I'm just going to do this myself. Which is fine. It's just a matter of doing it. So let's just create should I put it on the game manager or we'll do it on the game manager. Yeah, DBAs are like next level database people. Just can't imagine doing that all the time. I picked up quite a bit of ridiculous query writing capabilities, but you know. Advanced Wars. No, I have not heard of said thing. Can I Google this? Advance Wars? Like this? Is this right? Looks kind of like what the hell I'm doing, right? Looks like they had a couple of them. I've not heard of this, but oh my goodness, my thing's all zoomed into 300%. Turn-based tactics video game. Okay, all right. Something I can buy. That sounds solid. Turn-based 2 to 4 armies, each headed by a commanding officer. This is multiplayer? Yep. No, they had a multiplayer version. It doesn't seem too bad. I hit zoom in and it got smaller. Like what? Explain that shit to me. So see, you look, and then it gets smaller. It's dirty. Do me dirty. I might have to do some research, but I don't know. This doesn't look too bad. I'll have to look and see what all there was, but it's very similar to what I'm doing right now, right? From that 2D perspective. Hopefully I would be able to Game Boy Advance, dude. Oh man, some old school shit. I'd have to dig a little bit to find the details on the different, because it sounds like there's different units and abilities that each have. Yeah, I don't think I played it. I don't think I played this. Game Boy for me was more like Pokemon. I was that Pokemon guy. So, killing some good old Pokemon. mechanics, easy to understand. Oh wow, okay. Tiling. Oh, there you go. Apparently they have a wiki page on game mechanics. How you can have one page that describes all game mechanics, I'll never understand, but now this may be possible. I'll have to dig a little bit. Let me save this. Let's do streaming. Yeah, apparently it's a thing apparently. Looks like, yeah, I mean it looks pretty straightforward. Cool. You have to check it out. I'll see what I can do. Might be able to expand this to a slight version of that, I think. Oh, this doesn't have anything because there's no scripts in there. So we're gonna do, I'm gonna create a script to do the map. I'm tired of dealing with this nonsense. Yeah, so yeah, that's understandable. It's just a matter of like breaking it down into the smallest piece, right? Like, so that's like how I started with the Falcon Star stuff. Was not to focus on the artwork stuff, but we're focused on game mechanics. And so you just start with I think Falcon Star, the first thing I did was just like, I want to have like a dot or your player, and he just falls all the time. But when you click or hit a spacebar, you know, hit any button, it like provides like thrust or something to push him back up. And so yeah, that was like my first step, was to get that working. And then it was like, okay, so I can do that. And don't focus on the art. That was the biggest thing, is like, do in like, not inanimate objects, but just do like blocks, like a white square or something, like or mine was like a white circle, and then I did like a blue circle for enemies or something, a red circle, and I just used those until I had something that was more substantial. And then you add even like a step above the garbage art that you have on there right then, and then you just keep expanding upon it. So like for a turn-based concept like that, the first thing is kind of like what I'm doing right now, which is like, I want to get the grid laid out. Like, can I get a grid and then be able to like walk around on it? That's what I'm trying to get to right now. That one's turn-based, so it's a little different, right? You would want to like spawn everything and then have turns doing something, but that's basically just a state machine, right? So you would have like player X's turn and then wait for some input, and then you would go to player Y's turn. So easy way to test that would just be like, you know, have two people or two blocks, one's green or one's white, both of them are white, right? And then maybe it lights up blue when it's that person's turn, and then you hit a key like A, and that's them doing something. Doesn't really matter, it doesn't actually do anything, but just act like that is a turn execution for that particular player. And so when it's their turn, maybe their spot lights up green, and then so then you can test, like, you hit A and that person's spot is green, and then it goes to white, and the other person's spot turns green. And so you can just make sure that you can do the turn-based thing, which is like you get some input for this particular person, and then switch and get some input from this particular person. So that would be my like first step. It's kind of breaking it down into very, very granular things first, and then making progress, small progress here and there. And one thing I learned in a game, I took a game design class when I was at Georgia Tech, and it's very focused on like build something quick, right? As fast as possible, just rough as hell, to see if it's fun. Because if it's not fun, you're wasting your time, right? So that's why, as I mentioned, and what you're talking about is like the art. Don't waste your time on that yet, because don't waste your time doing art unless you even know it's going to be fun. So try to start with that and get to something that's quote unquote playable, so that you can game test it and see what works and what doesn't, and where you need polish and where you don't need polish, and then go from there. And that's how we developed a game when I was at Georgia Tech. And you essentially get like very, very rough starting points and see what mechanics. Like I was joking about that wiki page talking about, game mechanics or and listing a whole bunch. Generally speaking, there is like higher level game mechanic concepts that are reused, and you can like take those, but there should be like a fundamental game mechanic behind your game. And so like a 2D strategy one is basically about turn-based combat, with some kind of maybe like abilities or something based on my super quick reading of that particular game. But that's so like you want to try to get that game mechanic implemented as quick and dirty as possible so that you can test it to see if it's actually worth going further. So that's why like the first thing I did with Falcon Star was my main game mechanic was the ship movement and randomly spawning enemies, right? So that's what I started with, and kind of expanded from there. Overall, it works out pretty well, but it is also, even when you're looking at the most basic of things, it is still a little bit of a steep learning curve to go up. So I can understand it being a little bit intimidating, especially if you haven't done game development before. It's like where the hell do I start? But that's also why I kind of started this channel. So like you can kind of see like Falcon Star, I didn't start from scratch. So it's like I started streaming and I already had that base concept implemented. This, you can kind of see me starting from scratch. I basically have nothing. And I'm just going to start from there, and you can kind of see how I go through it. Obviously, I'm not a professional, so I may not be the best person to model yourself after, but at least give you an idea of how I do it and where maybe areas you can improve. But yeah, as you can see, it is iterative. I tried the grid thing, the tile map, and I think it's not worth the time, so I'm gonna try something else. Yeah, man, no problem. I'm here and willing to answer any questions you have, so at least based on my experience. So feel free to ask away. Okay, so basically this map manager is what I'm going to use to manage the map. Haha, got him. No, but it needs to, the reason I have this, I think I'm going to need this, is it's going to do several things. One is figure out the grid based on the resolution of the game. So like the first thing that I probably need to do is use this. I think I did it before. Do it somewhere else. Dang it. Anyways, there's I think it's like find object of type. Yeah. And do screen info. So this will get the one instance of the screen info object that I need. Because this is what I'm going to be using for determining the bounds and stuff. Screen info actually has. I'm actually going to offload this stuff as well. Since I have a map manager, it's going to make. No, dang it. Done got me again. It's going to be in charge of drawing the debug lines. Alright, that's probably going to complain because it has no friggin' idea what the hell the lines and stuff are. So this needs to come out as well. What happens at start? Yeah. So this will. Forgot my. This should instantiate the different XY positions and stuff. And so I'll need these over here. All right. So then, trying to think what information we would need. Let's do this. Private const int. Pixels per cell. We can use that to basically do those. Oh yeah. Yeah, so I have the screen info. So what we actually do is get min. So we get the min x, get the max x. And then hopefully I have to get a min y. I hope. And get max y. This can be optimized probably as well to not recreate these vectors every time. That shouldn't be necessary. All right, we can at least check to make sure that this is working still. Oh, it doesn't because I don't have the map manager on anything. Let's just create a new. Okay. So now it should work. Sweet. Okay, so that gives us the grid. I'm pretty sure that gives us the grid from top left-hand corner down. So like max X and max Y is actually the bottom right-hand corner, I think. Which is fine. It's always tricky because to actually get center points is different, right? So, but most of the time you don't need the center points because when you draw a sprite, it's usually anchored in the top left. So we might not need all the other locations, but let's do no, because what's actually happening so it's a little weird. Let me be more specific, because technically, yes, you're right. Max X and max Y would be in the top right in world space. So when you're actually talking about, like, for example, this map manager, right? 0, 0, 0 is right here, and what we're saying is, like, as you increase X, it goes right, and as you increase Y, it goes up. That's in world space. But what I meant by max X and max Y, I guess, is probably a little bit of a misnomer. But the last entry in these world space X and world space Y will actually be in the bottom. I think it'll be in the bottom right. And that is due to the fact of how we're doing this iteration. So we're actually starting at the X position. We're taking a point on the screen. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, on the screen. So 1920 by 1080 at 0, 0, which is up in the top left-hand corner. What is the current X position of that, and what's the current Y position of that in world space? And so the first entry in these lists will actually be the 0, 0 pixel value. And let's double check that. Pretty sure that's true, but let's just double check. So, like, we look, it's probably hard to see, but in this bottom left hand corner you can expand it. So there's 61 entries in the X space. And the 0th entry here, hard to see, but it's negative 8.88888889, which is all the way to the left. So the one that I'm still questioning, okay, it's actually bottom left. It's not top left. The first Y space value is actually negative 5. So the 0, 0 pixel value maps to negative 8.88888 and negative 5, which, if we look at the map, like the actual world space, what that would actually be. So if you do roughly negative 8 and negative 5 would be down in this bottom left-hand corner. So when we expand the grid, the reason I mention that is because ideally what we do is we go through these. We basically go through all the X's and map them to Y's, and then We go through all the x's, and for every x we map them to every y, and then that'll essentially give us this grid situation, right? It'll give us every single one of these, so then we can get more information about that specific cell. More so, like, we can know what's in a specific cell. That's what I'm trying to do right now. And then we can use that to basically say, okay, just for every cell, let's go ahead and put grass. Go ahead and do a grass sprite on there. And then we can easily have, like, okay, put the player at, 5-7 or something like that in the cell array. So, do they have like a 2D? I mean, I guess I can just do a 2D array. I have like a fancy. Or I just have to do it. I just got to do it. Just got to do it the dirty way. Wait, what? What is this crazy syntax? Oh, dude, I'm down for that. That's fantastic. So, that's what we need. Bow. So, what? That's so crazy. And center is max both x and y divided by 2. Yes, from a pixel standpoint, yeah. So like in the 1920 by 1080 world, if you want the center, like 0, 0 is actually the pixel, split in half. So 1980 divided by 2 and 1920 divided by 2 and 1080 divided by 2, which is 540. That one's easy. The 1920 is a little bit harder. Like, what was that? 950, 960. Right. I think that's right. Trying to do math on the fly, but yeah, I think that's okay. I'm trying to think of a good data structure. All right. Here's what I'm thinking. I think I will create a class for this. Basically like a cell class. Because ideally what this will have in it will be a game object. I might step back on that. We'll see. It may be a specific type of like something. No, I think that gives me the most power. Is having just a generic game object. I was gonna say we could put a script, like maybe like cell something script or something, and that script has information on it, but that's limited because then that script will bloat for all the different use cases. While with the game object, we may be able to just like can be more abstract. Be like, if it has this particular script on it, pull it off and execute this. If it doesn't, just don't execute it. So that's an option. So then I want to have the let's do maybe do internal. Then we'll do internal and internal Y location. Nope, that's not what I wanted. That is of some type. That's why it was mad with me. I was like, why don't you like my Y and X location? So yeah, and then I wonder if there's like convenient stuff in C# to do builder classes. C# builder pattern. Yeah, it's something. Maybe they have something built in. Just thinking. Holy crap! It's 10:40 already. Google, what are you doing? Jeez. This is... Wah, wah. That's just an example. I mean, I don't think it's particularly useful to go through that exercise. So I think I can do this, right? I think I can do like a new cell. Can I do... Don't do that. It's like I know how to do things very like succinct and Go. I do not know how to do that in C#. Make this an internal class, and I'm gonna make this cells. Okay, so yeah. We'll just go with that. But actually, I should have looked up. Do you have to initialize this thing, or? Oh wow. Weird. Yeah, Java was what I started with. I guess for most of my career, I've been Java. I started with Android, and then I I decided to go into more like server-side stuff. Actually, I did Android client side and C# server side at one place, and then next place I went was solely Java, and I did Java backend stuff using the Spring framework. And so it was an experience. It's not too bad. Excuse me. Cool. So this would do basically for each. Is that a float? Yeah. Excuse me. So exposition. It's always the plan, right? Somebody else to do it. Then you just become a manager, which is not a bad thing. That's what I do now, but it is a different cup of tea. What are you talking about? Oh. So this is interesting. Like, to be able to look these up, you have to know. Yeah. It's not a terrible thing, but it is something. Oh. I gotcha. So this, I gotta do, man. Gotta do the old-fashioned way, y'all. That's what's up. Because I need I. This actually needs to be I. This needs to be J, which will be this. Yeah, I remember when I was in college, everyone was like, "Oh, mobile app development, it's the bee's knees, right?" Or whatever, you know. It's gonna be the big up and coming thing. You get paid more, it's fantastic. And then I started doing it, and it was not fantastic. It was just have to deal with a bunch of other problems, and that's before it got too crazy, or as crazy it is now. And maybe I got, you know, burned a little bit because I worked on a MDM solution, which is like mobile device management. So like you know, wait, what? What the hell are you talking about? Do I have a this needs to go outside. But yeah, so I did mobile device management, and yeah, that's so true. And so you end up doing a lot of like you have a lot of internal like device specific problems. It's very similar to what like web developers have to deal with now. And it's just, I don't know. It's like, oh, this particular version of a Samsung Galaxy S2 or whatever has problems, and it's like, what? How am I supposed to address that? Oh, you want me to write specific code for a specific X2 or S2? And the answer was yes. Yes, that's exactly what they want you to do. Just like they have to write custom like JavaScript code for, you know, Internet Explorer 9 or whatever the shit that somebody's using still for some crazy reason. But you know, it's a thing. It happens. Can I do like namespace up here? Let's just do, I don't know. Is it okay with that? No? Yeah, exactly. And it's only gotten worse. So this is where my lack of C# experience is showing immensely right now. I'm like, why can't I just have a namespace? Because I have a feeling what is going to happen if I create a class over here, and let's just call it sure, let's just do a mono behavior, even though I don't need that. We'll make this cell. Yeah, Apple is much easier, but like, yeah, Android with mobile device management stuff, it was so much worse because people were, you know, developing their own, like Samsung, LG, HTC, all these companies were modifying the ROMs, right? They're still doing it, right? They put their own skins on stuff. They also modify security portions of the ROM. So like, you know, Samsung would add additional security libraries, or HTC would remove some. And so like we would try to build, you know, we would build an app that's supposed to be able to force people to encrypt their device by calling some standard APIs that's available in the SDK, the standard Google SDK. And then we would get people calling in and being like, hey, your thing doesn't work on this HTC device that we use in back office in the warehouse that has a custom ROM that we got built by Samsung, where they stripped out all the security libraries. And it's like, I don't know what you want us to do with that. Don't strip out all the security libraries? I don't know. So yeah, I had bugs like that where I'd have to deal with, and it's like, what the hell kind of garbage is this? So I've been forever burnt on the Android side of things. All right, why is this thing bitching me about something here? Void start. Okay, that's my missing. I've got too many brackets. I've got brackets everywhere. That's why it's mad at me. So was it okay with this whole time, and I was just battling? We can do it in here, probably. Okay. Yeah, I've come to like the opinionated approach of things, right? Like, even in coding, right? Like the fact that C# is okay, or there's an argument of whether or not a curly bracket should go up here, right? Or if it goes down here, and it's just like whoever decides to write it, however they want, will change like how that's done. And same with Apple, like they just take an opinionated approach. It's like, we're doing this way, we own the device, we're gonna make you do it, and that's just how it goes. Google's like, just take the ROM, you can modify it and drop and add whatever you want in it. Just gets on my nerves, makes my life so much more difficult, so I'd just rather not deal with it. Okay, so I think it's also why I like Go now. Go's very, very opinionated on things. It's like, you need to do like styling, don't worry about it, we got a tool. Is yeah, Samsung Knox. I was, when I worked at SAP when Samsung Knox was first being developed. So we were working with Samsung on Knox specifically to get it to integrate it with our solution, and it was ridiculous that thing was like so slow, and it had its own little, it was like switching content. You go from like your personal device to the Knox security side, or your work side, and it was horrendously slow. But yeah, they sent us special devices, and I went to the Samsung conference, and with their first Samsung conference that they had in San Francisco, and yeah, it was a little bit of a pain in the butt, but that's probably one of the most secure ways to do Android based, work deploys or whatever, but it's also the most intrusive. Oh, I didn't set a breakpoint. Well, that makes sense. But yeah, Samsung was one of our notorious partners when we worked at when I worked at SAP doing MDM stuff. I'll never forget the biggest, like, I tend to refuse to buy things that are heavily at the wrong way. That there's a lot of Samsung-based development, like code software. Samsung, the developers that I worked with at Samsung, or at least like their development cycle was absolute trash. Like we had so many sketchy situations happen with their release cycle. I would never buy stuff that runs their software ever again. Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, which by the way, if you've been following the Falcon Star stuff, the Falcon Star finally got published. So if you want to check it out, it's up on Google Play. Let me know how it works. I don't have an Android phone, so honestly, I don't even know if it works. I can't download it to see. But yeah, check it out if you can. See how it works. But yeah, the one thing that happened that this is the reason I will never Falcon Star. So the game that I've been developing on here finally got published. So let me see. At least as an open beta. So I think, yeah. So this, if you Google on the Google Play, on Google Play, if you look for Falcon Star, there's this Falcon Star game. That's what I've been working on for the stream for quite a while. Well, actually, since it started. So, check it out. You should be able to download it. It's early access, which just means it's open beta, and only like 5,000 people can download it, but nobody's installed it. So, I'm just kind of curious if it works. Yeah, I did. That's what's up. Actually, I didn't even do it emulators. I didn't actually plan on doing Android at all. So I actually did it like locally, just in the UI and stuff, and then I would upload a WebGL version of this game to Simmer.io, and I would test it there, and that's where I thought I was going to stop. But then once I started, there was a couple things that I added that required you to be on a device. One was leaderboards. Leaderboards I could have done via like some other means, but I would have had to host that like a database or something, and so I decided to use Firebase. And Firebase is like the integration there doesn't work with WebGL from what I understand, at least not yet. So I had to do Android or iOS, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna do Android because it's relatively cheap and easy to develop. So tested that. That seems to work on emulators and stuff. That one I have very little concern. I think that integration will work fine. That being said, the second piece that I added, which is mobile ads. So after you die and then you put in your score, you click save or whatever, or view leaderboards, whatever, it'll take you to an ad, just because I was curious how that process works. That obviously also is only through mobile devices. So I tied that in. That's the one I'm not sure it works, because the key that I use when I do local development is only for testing purposes. And so obviously you don't get any ad revenue or anything from that. It doesn't present you an actual ad. Therefore, Google doesn't pay anybody any money, so you can use it for testing. But the legit key that I had, you can't run tests with it without registering a device as a test device. So I don't know. Maybe that's a good idea. I would have had to figure out how the Google Excel sheet like APIs work, but it's a possibility. Yeah. I was using a free service. There was some like free leaderboard API service that some random dude hosted that I was using. But it was only free when you did not do SSL based communication, or you just did HTTP based requests. And whenever you do a WebGL deploy, as well as from devices, the requests come across as HTTPS. Actually, mobile devices I didn't check, but WebGL for sure, they come from an HTTPS based URL. So I had to pay the dude like $5 or something, and I didn't do that. So, not that I'm like terribly against paying some random dude $5, but I figured it would also be pretty cool to figure out how to integrate Firebase, which was relatively straightforward. Okay, so let's look at this map. All right, so this looks more. So -8, -5, that'd be bottom left. And so the last one in this positive, yeah, okay. Sweet. All right, so I at least have a cell mapping now, so. Got him. Don't judge me, man. It's all for learning. I don't actually plan on making any kind of money off of the ads. Mainly, I'm curious if the ads are even going to work. So that's going to be the comical part. Is if like I put those ads in there and then they don't work. Yeah, it's classic. Oh, but yeah, so I went to that Samsung conference when I worked for that for SAP, and the first one they gave out to everybody who came, they gave them a Samsung Note 8, which is like the original Note 8, which was basically an 8-inch tablet, like Samsung tablet, running Android. Hunky, yeah, good, cool. Has a little stylus thing, you can do stuff. That's right. You're gonna pay for I don't even know what I can get for a penny. I don't know, maybe if you play it long enough I might be able to get a gallon of gas with how cheap it is now. But yeah, so I got this tablet, the Samsung tablet, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this out. We'll see how it goes. So this is when I found out I will never get a Samsung phone, for my personal like device. And so I updated that thing. I installed some apps, like LinkedIn and Google Plus, which is no longer a thing anymore, but it was back then. LinkedIn, if I didn't say that already, but it just standard apps, and fully updated. Everything was updated as much as possible. Google Plus crashed. Like it literally wouldn't run on the device because it would just like crash the moment you booted it up. As well as I think it was LinkedIn or Facebook or something. Some kind of social media one. So it was either LinkedIn or Facebook, because I don't really use Twitter that much. But yeah, straight out of the box, like updated it to the latest OS and all the latest apps, and Google Plus and their and LinkedIn just straight up didn't work. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Brand new device and shit just don't work. This ain't for me. So that is when I knew if I ever got an Android device, which probably won't be happening because I'm so invested in Apple at this point, I would get a default like standard Google device, like a Pixel, like what you have, right? Because they don't mess with stuff. There's some consistency from one version to the next. So okay, So I have cells, and then this is where I like the tile map thing, is creating the map is a little harder when you do this. Right. I mean, I guess one way to do this is to the way I've done this in the past, I think, is you can create like a text file. And you just interpret that file. Do I want to do that or not? Ba, 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 ba. Here's what I'm gonna do. Just for a quick and dirty testing here. So I can make a public game object tile. And I'm just gonna do a tile. Appreciate the like, Grandma. Hope you're having a good night. Let's see. So original game object. Yep. And then we can do is that game object? So what we want is actually new vector 3 of cell X location, cell Y location, and a quaternion, which is no rotation, and give it this parent game objects. You have to do transform itself. Look at this freaking signature, yeah? Jesus Christ. Alright, so this thing's just gonna instantiate the ridiculous amount of tiles underneath this. This thing's gonna have like, what, 63 or 61, roughly 2,000 game objects underneath it. That doesn't seem good, but we'll find out. Okay, so, and then the other one, let's stop this thing. Go ahead and create an empty object, and we're gonna call this grass. All right, sprite render, and then we'll do, let's just do over. Dang it. Did that work? What the hell? That did not work. That's what I needed. Delete that. Hmm. Use scale. Oh, Unity. Scale to pixels. That's exactly what I needed. Oh god, that dude is an idiot. Why would you do that? Wow. The hell? Can't you do... Seems like there's an easier way to do this. Alright, man. You have a good night. Appreciate you joining me tonight. And, talk to you later. It's all good, man. I'm probably about to hop off here too because I have to wake up at 6 tomorrow. So, looking at 7 hours of sleep if I zonked out 15 minutes ago. So, I understand. I just can try to figure this out real quick. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your night. Basically walking from here to sleep. Catch you later. This just seems excessive, right? That's not good. Interesting. Pixel per unit? What you talking about, yo? I don't think that's applicable in all cases. What the hell? I wonder if it's because this. Oh, this is so difficult. I just don't know. I could do this dirty, but I just don't. And the dirty way is what this dude did. Where did he? This is essentially what you have to do, right? That's just so rough. But that... Actually, I should only have to... Problem is, scale doesn't give me... I was just gonna say, I think I can use this to calculate, basically, once I do one and then I take a second one, I should be able to calculate for every 32 pixels what the unit change is for this resolution. Then I was gonna say, oh, well, I can use that to determine what the scale should be, but the scale doesn't, just scales it like relative. Like its original size, then scales it. Well, we're just gonna try this, I think. So this will create it. It's probably gonna be massive. But we'll starting to doubt my choices here, y'all. I have a feeling these are all going to be way too big. Yeah. Alright, I think this is a problem for another night. We basically just need to scale down the size of the image. Just as like, this is exactly what the tile map thing does, right? You give it a freaking tile and it scales it to the right place and puts it there. It's just so frustrating that it's so hard to use. wonder how, like, tile map, Unity, scripting. Like, what can I do with the tile map? Sweet. Let me hear him. Unless you're going to bed, then let me hear him on Friday. See, this thing basically solves all my problems. Uh-huh. So that is likely the ad not working. So that's fair. Because what should happen is the ad should pop up right after doing that, and it sounds like it doesn't work. Because it shows the ad, and then once you close the ad is when you transition to the last state, which is we'll show you the leaderboard. Okay. Was there another issue? What was the other one? Damage marker is carried over and I die once the shield is removed. Interesting. Okay. I do. That's a more interesting one. Yeah. I can look into that one. So one of the things I had to deal with was like if you collide with something that should kill you, for example, the bottom of the map. So pop a shield and then you just let yourself drift down to the bottom. You would just sit on that collider. And then once the shield wore off, you would still... Okay. I can take a look at that. Guys, I added some code to deal with that. Specifically, I track colliders that you hit. I track them as you hit them, and I track them as you unhit them, or as you uncollide with them. So that I can track, like, when your shield wears off, if there are any colliders still colliding with you that haven't been removed, then you'll die. And that's to make sure that you don't, like, sit at the bottom of the screen. But maybe a better way to handle that is, like, even if you're using your shield, if you go to the bottom of the screen, you die. Seems weird that a shield protects you from that, so. Okay, cool. Thanks for the feedback. I appreciate it. I'll probably work on those on Friday. See if I can get those addressed. And honestly, the ad one, I'll probably just remove the ads and go from there. It's hard for me to test, so I just prevent it from happening altogether and call it a day. So I appreciate you downloading it, taking a look. Let's knock those out next time. Switch to manual. Hmm. I might be able to use this actually. So I had concerns. See you later, man. So I had some concerns about using the grid because I want to manage the movement of the guy. And what it's looking like, I may be able to do that still. Based on this scripting stuff. So the sell to local and sell to world. Local to sell. This is extremely helpful stuff that should let me get away with that. Okay, I may reverse again. I don't know, man. This is it's like going through this process is like the map manager is painful because you have to do all the heavy lifting of resizing all the tiles. But if I go the grid side of things, I just have to work with weird inconsistencies. I just have to work out. I don't know. I'll keep thinking about it. But cool. It's late. I think I'm gonna call it for tonight. I will be back on Friday, I believe. I don't think I have anything special happening. This weekend's Mother's Day, so obviously not gonna stream on this weekend. But yeah, I think that's it. Hope y'all have a good night, and yeah, we'll continue this on Friday. Hopefully I have some time to do a little bit more research on this tile map stuff, but maybe watch some tutorials or something, so that I can shed some more light on this situation. But yeah, we'll continue this and hopefully make some pretty good progress on Friday. Other than that, y'all have a good one. Have a good night. Stay safe. And I will see you on Friday.